Hello and welcome to Thought for the Day. I'm guessing that most of you will have either seen the TV dramatisation of the post office debacle or will have heard about its repercussions in the media over the last few weeks. This is being called the biggest miscarriage of justice in UK history. So in a nutshell, more than 900 sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses were prosecuted after faulty software wrongly made it look as though money was missing from their branches. The Post Office has no special authority to bring private prosecutions, but has pursued cases against its staff using its own investigation branch, the Post Office Security and Investigation Services, under a general right in English law for any individuals and organisations to pursue private prosecutions. So between 1999 and 2015, it prosecuted 700 sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses. That's an average of one a week, based on information from a computer accounting system called Horizon, which has subsequently been shown to be faulty. Another 283 cases were brought by other bodies, including the Crown Prosecution Service. Some people went to prison for false accounting and theft. Many were financially ruined, even though they'd repeatedly highlighted problems with the software. Like many, and like me, you may have already been aware over the last few years that this injustice had happened, but it took this dramatisation of the effects it had on a few of the individuals involved to raise the outrage which has echoed around us at the beginning of 2024. The people affected, those sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses, were very often at the focus of their small communities. They weren't big business people. They weren't doing the job to make huge salaries. They were more likely good, honest, decent individuals, going above and beyond to help their neighbours. They were doing a public service and clearly often struggling to do their best with the IT system the Post Office gave them, with little or no useful IT support. These innocent lives were trashed by what happened to them. Apparently there's evidence of not only incompetence but malevolence in many of the prosecutions brought by the Post Office. What made this drama so compelling was watching the individual, very human responses to the accusations, prosecutions and convictions faced by these individuals. There was anger and outrage, confusion and disbelief that it could be happening so unfairly within the British justice system. There was fear of what would become of them and their families. There was shame and depression. And I think most desperately there was isolation. Each one was told it was only happening to them. They were entirely innocent of any of the wrongdoing of which they were accused. And although many of the communities gave them every support, there must have been those who were rejected and treated as guilty by the people they lived amongst. How must that feel? Can you imagine knowing that you're totally innocent of any of the crimes but are being treated as guilty, being isolated, being rejected, being tried, being found guilty, being punished? But what if your punishment was not a fine, the loss of your livelihood, loss of reputation, imprisonment? All of those are bad enough. What if your punishment was the loss of your life? Under what circumstances might you accept that sentence? If it meant that you might save the lives of many, many others, would you be able to accept a death sentence for sins that you're not only not guilty of, but are incapable of committing? That's where Jesus found himself, totally innocent, without any sin, but rejected, arrested, beaten, tried, found guilty, crucified. He was human as well as God. He must have felt all those human emotions, all those very human responses, but he allowed himself to be taken and put to death because he knew he was dying to save millions from death. He loved us so much, he was willing to take the guilt of all of us onto himself. The biggest miscarriage of justice in the history of mankind. Just going to finish with this little piece from Isaiah chapter 53. But he was pierced through for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastening for our well-being fell upon him. By his scourging we are healed. All of us like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way. But the Lord has caused the iniquity of us all to fall on him.